Virtually everything that you do in Structures Office is callable from the application program interface. So in this video we're going to talk about how would you use capabilities of Structures Office in your own programs in MATLAB or Excel. There's many different languages that you can use to call the application program interface. Excel, Visual Basic for Applications, MATLAB, Active Perl, Active Python. Any language which understands COM, which is what all of these languages have in common. Excel is probably the most common tool. It's got an excellent integrated development environment. It has a full debugger, and it supports IntelliSense, which is when you type in the name of an object, it tells you what the methods of that object are and what the arguments are. So it really speeds up development. You don't have to look things up. It will tell you what everything that's callable on that object are and list the names of those arguments that you need to give to that method. So in this video we're going to concentrate on Excel, and this is just a quick overview of the steps. First, you'd insert the Structures Office object into your spreadsheet. And then you need to add the Structures Office type library to the references. The type library is what IntelliSense uses to give you the methods and arguments. And then you'd add a button to fire up your code. And then you'd step through Structures Office to create a log file. That's usually, you don't have to do that, but that's the fastest way to get your program written up. And then you'd insert that log file into the click event of the button. And if you don't know what that is, we'll show you in a minute. And then you'd want to edit that log file as necessary. And then you'd want to add code to extract results from what you created in Structures Office to use in your own processing. So now let's walk through those steps that I just described. First thing you need to do is go to Insert, an object, and then go down and look for Structures Office cross-section document. And now you see the viewer of Structures Office embedded in Excel. And you can resize it or put it wherever you want. And then you need to go to the Developer tab. If you don't see the Developer tab, it's underneath Options, Custom Ribbon, and then the Developer, which you'll see over here, and just click Add to move it over to the right side of what's in your ribbon. So I need to add the type library. That's done underneath Run, or Tools, References, and we need to find the Structures Office type library. And this is what supports IntelliSense, all the listing of arguments. It's not enough to click on it, you have to put a check on it. Click OK. And now you're set up to go. Okay, now let's just create a simple log file. I'll start by creating an I-beam and just use the defaults. I'll set the material and mesh it. Using a chord height tolerance at 0.001. I'm doing 3 node triangles. Mesh it. And now let's go over to and let's do a plastic bending analysis. And let's just solve that. Okay. Now it's very important to complete the log, you must exit. And that will add some trailing code to do error tracking. You don't need to save it. Now we're back over in Excel, and we've got to create a place to put our code. So the first thing to do is go into Insert. I'm in the File tab, Insert. There's two different types of buttons. We're looking for a button. There's Form Control, there's ActiveX controls. You want the ActiveX control. And then you just draw a box over here. And then change the name to anything you'd like. I like to call them, and let's change the caption to, this of course is anything you want it to be. Alright, now let's go get our log file. Your log file is always in the temp folder, and you want to get the latest one, usually. So you want to sort by date modified, and let's open that up. Okay, so this is the log file. Let's just grab everything that's in this subroutine definition right here and copy it. And let's go back over here and say View Code. Now here's the code that will execute when that button is clicked. Let's stick our subroutine in there. Let's change that name to Analyze an I-beam. And now we got to call it inside our button click. So we give it the same name. And now let's take a look at the code. Okay, so when you click on this button, it'll execute this code. It'll call the subroutine Analyze I-beam. Then there's this code, which is the program created for you, which looks through the current spreadsheet, the active sheet. It looks at all the L.L.C objects in that sheet. It looks for an object that has which is a Structures Office cross-section document. Then activates it, which starts it running, and then it sets a variable called cross-section equal obj.object. And now you have a Structures Office object that you can look at, interrogate for methods and arguments. So you normally wouldn't have to modify anything up here. Down at the bottom there's just some error handler code, and that got added when you close the document. So that's why I said you had to close the document. So once we get here, we're going to clear the object. Here we connect to the database, set our unit system, create the I-beam. These are the arguments for the I-beam. We got to select shape here. We don't need that, so you delete it. Down here is another one. Then apply a material to the object. The AA is the I-beam. We'll walk through the arguments later. Then we mesh it with 3 node triangles, 2,000 of them. Then we perform the plastic bending analysis. That was called plastic bending case 1. And then we plot strain. So let's see what happens here. Save it. Let's say, call it code demo. And we want to change it to one that has macros enabled. That's important. So to be able to program anything. And now let's get out. And then get out of design mode. So when it's in design mode, you create buttons and whatnot to run. Okay, so now we've got our code embedded in Excel. And now let's go through. Let's walk through the code and watch it execute. So I'm going to set I'm clicking in this gray bar here, and I get a red dot that is a breakpoint. I click File, Close and Return. Now I click on this button, and the click event was called, and I'm going to analyze an I-beam code. And so in this portion here, we're walking through the active sheet L.L.C objects, looking for an object called Structures Office cross-section document. It's the first one in there, and then it activates it. Now you see this hatching here, that means this program is running inside of Excel. Now it's going to clear the contents. Now it's going to connect to the database using this file. That's the material database. And set the unit system. Now we're going to create an I-beam. Now we're going to apply aluminum material to that I-beam. Then when we're meshing that object, and then we're doing the numerical analysis method with a neutral angle of 0. And now we'll call the plot routine to plot strain. And this is exactly what we saw in the document. So that's great. Now how do I get values out of this document into Excel? It's very easy. You can just say, let's say I want to put it up in this cell 1, 2. So I can just say cells 1, 2 dot value equals cross-section dot object dot bending analysis result. I have to give it the name of that object. Lowercase, I mean. You want to get that right. And then we need to tell it what value do I want. Oh, since we're returning a value in VB, we've got to put parentheses around it. So I want BA, bending analysis, moment about the neutral axis. Double clicked on it, put the closing paren on it. Now I can set the next statement right back up, and now let's execute it. And you see that this moment is now put into your spreadsheet. Let's plot stress instead of strain. Let's say cross-section dot plot result and stress, and set the. And now you see stress is plotted. So I can't go through every function, but I think you can understand how the code works. And a few things I want to point out. Some other topics that I need to explain. If I've deactivated the object I've returned to Excel, if I go to, I've right-clicked Structures Office document and click Open, you can now edit that embedded object using the entire interface of Structures Office. Say I just want to rotate the thing. And when you're done editing, then you just simply go to Exit and Return. And the graphics don't update automatically. It's a glitch in Excel. But if you double click it, it'll reactivate the object in the state that it was in when you left, when you opened up Structures Office and edited it and closed it. That is stored inside the file. And it's important to keep in mind that the state of the object, the Structures Office object, is stored inside of this file. So you can rename that file, you can move it, and as long as Structures Office is installed on whatever machine you moved it to, when you double click that thing, it will activate in place. So you don't have to worry about maintaining an outside file. It's all encapsulated in the Excel file. So that wraps up the presentation on software development. Please contact us if you have any questions. Thank you.